I'm Casey.
And I'm Fallon.
And this is
Render the Darkness.
So the fun fact for this episode is, and I hope that it's true, and I'm going to rewatch just to make sure that it is true. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. But fun fact is that all of the clocks in Pulp Fiction are set to 4:20. Which I believe is probably true because that sounds like a very Quentin Tarantino thing to do.
Yes, I agree.
So I might have to go back and watch that, and I will reconfirm to you guys whether that actually was true or not, because I will pay heavy attention to all of the clocks. I'll pause every scene. There's a clock.
I'll have to do that too. That's like one of my favorite movies as well. I've never noticed it. I never paid attention to the clocks, but
I haven't either, to be honest.
I don't in many movies either, unless it's solely based on a clock.
What movie is solely based on a clock?
That's what I'm saying, unless it's solely based on a clock.
So never. You've never done it?
No.
Okay. Well, that's good. It has to be movies that are based on clocks. Like what? Okay, alright, let's see. The Clockwork Orange.
Is that based on one specific clock? Or just like all clocks? And it's like constantly...
I don't know, because there are a lot of clocks in that movie, but I don't know... I don't know. I've only seen that movie once, and it was a long time ago.
Same.
I may have to rewatch that one, too. Oh, there's that second Alice in Wonderland, though, with Father Time or whatever. That had a lot to do with clocks and time and rewinding and fast-forwarding and pausing and all that fun, fancy-schmancy stuff.
That's true.
So you kind of had to pay... Anyway, that's not what this case is about. I'm sorry. Welcome back.
Okay, so this one is going to be, drumroll, Ghosts. And this is going to be our first case out of Colorado.
Colorado.
So, just to let you know, this one is going to be a pretty short one. It's just a bunch of little ones kind of thrown together. They're pretty interesting. But, if you've watched the last ones that I've done...
She struggles to talk.
Well, no, they've just been kind of long.
Oh. We went two totally different ways with that.
And the last two, it wasn't too awful bad, but the ones before that, they were pretty long, and I did like two
that
parts.
Too. They're really long.
That's what I was talking about.
That too, they're very long.
But, I can't talk for some reason. My voice does weird things, so I'm going to agree with that as well.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
We went two totally different ways with that.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so the first one we're going to talk about is The Haunting of Dead Man's Canyon. Now, Juan Espinosa was the leader of the Espinosa gang. He had found some sheep herders and trained them to be able to kill and steal. I just completely said kill.
Hey, that's a thing. What is that? Forged in fire. Isn't that what he says all the time? Eat will kill.
Yeah.
That's like a thing. Like, that actually is a word, and it means something. I've looked this up. I guess Doug Marcaida, is he the one who says it? I'm pretty sure.
Remember, but...
Anyway, he says that for a reason, because it means something.
Oh. Well, I just thought I messed it up because it's me. But,
I'm going to look that up now.
Okay. Now, they didn't have any problem spilling blood all over the vicinity. They would go and rob stagecoaches, wagon trains, Mexican ranches. Juan did believe that all of the white immigrants that settled on their ancient Mexican soil had to be offered to the Virgin Mary, and in order to show their devotion, they would pierce the victim in the heart.
Okay, so, sorry.
No, that's all right.
That's
why I paused.
Yeah. Okay, so, he says it because Keel, K-E-A-L, is a self-created acronym meaning keep everyone alive. So, like, if it slices well, or it cuts good, or something like that, if it will protect you in war situations, it will kill, meaning it will keep your army alive.
Okay, I thought he meant, like...
No.
It'll...
Like, not... You thought he meant K-I-L-L,
like,
and he was just saying it with a little bit of an accent.
Yeah.
No. He's actually saying... That's what I was saying. Like, he's actually saying the word kill, because it means something, and that's what it means. It means... It will keep everyone alive.
I just ran
I
two
knew
words
it meant
together.
something because I've Googled it before, but it was like maybe a couple years ago when Chris and I had this conversation.
Yeah.
About how he said the word different, and I was like, I wonder what he's actually saying there, and I Googled it and remembered it meant something kind of important and cool.
Okay.
And it does. It means something really cool, actually. So he is on purpose saying keel.
All right. Well, that's pretty cool.
Sorry.
No,
that was irrelevant to the episode.
Well, I mean, I said it, so
entirely.
it just kind of, The gang left and went to the Pikes Peak region in March 1863, and a short time later, they would murder their first victim. He was a 68-year-old carpenter and was found face down in Hardscrabble Creek with numerous gunshots to his heart. The only evidence left at the scene was a note that was signed in blood that proclaimed their loyalty to the Virgin Mary. The second victim would be 55-year-old Henry Harkin on March 19, 1863. The men killed his dog and his horse, burned down his barn, and tortured him until Henry begged for mercy, and they shot him in the heart and hit him in the head with an axe, leaving it there.
Oh. That seems unnecessarily brutal.
Now, eventually, Juan was gunned down outside of Fort Garland, and to prove that he was dead, he was decapitated and his head was pickled, put into a jar, and sent to the state capitol.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they wanted some gnarly proof back then. Now, there have been many stories told about the gang, but the most amazing ones are the stories of the ghosts that are in Dead Man's Canyon.
Go ahead. I feel like I've covered this one before.
Have you?
I feel like I did cover this one before.
But we're in Colorado.
No, by all means, cover it again. Cover it your own way. But as soon as you said that, I was like, wait a minute, the Espinosa gang. I know for a fact I've covered this.
Oh, well, I just feel like.
No, by all means, finish your
Okay.
plagiarism. A thief.
Well, technically, it's 50% mine. Anyway.
It's true. You do have half ownership.
So.
Technically, it's neither of our stories.
No, not at all.
So if anybody,
Yeah. But one of the stories talks about a man who was going through the canyon alone not long after the murder, and he claimed to see a transparent figure hovering over the trees. He also noticed that the figure had an axe sticking out of its head, and it looked like his old friend Henry. He screamed and shot at the figure, who laughed and started moving about very quickly, scaring the man's horse, knocking him out of the saddle. Now, a couple of men who were walking behind him slowly, they ran towards him whenever they heard the screams. They found him hiding behind some rocks, and the men started to shoot at the figure, but the bullets went right through it. The figure laughed again and flew off, leaving the men baffled. I just picture him going, it's like, well, that's what I pictured.
that's the laugh you pictured.
Yeah, I don't know why. That's what I pictured. And even whenever I was writing it, that's what I heard in my head.
That's hilarious.
Alright, so the next one we're going to talk about is Mr. Riddle. And this takes place in the Cheyenne Canyon. In the later part of November 1904, a tourist was going to the Stratton Park Depot close to the entrance of the canyon. The man ended up getting confused because he thought he had gotten off the train in Trinidad and was trying to find his ride home. 1 or 2 days later, a woman was horrified when she came upon a corpse on the ridge. Police were able to identify the body as being Mr. Riddle. The police would say that he had wow, I just went.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a wait.
Epileptic?
Yes.
Is that what you're trying to say?
I don't know why. Just like my brain was like,
Will not compute.
No.
Will not say.
An epileptic fit. Almost didn't do it again. And he died from exposure to the elements. But the strange part about that was that all of his clothes had been ripped from his body as well as all of his skin.
Ooh.
Yeah. Now, they tried to find the person responsible, but they were never able to. 6 years later, an inn was built in the exact same spot that Mr. Riddle's body had been found. The guests at the hotel started saying that they were seeing a headless man who had no skin walking by their windows at night. Mm-hmm. Now, the next one is the Wraith. Now, this story also takes place in the Cheyenne Canyon. In August of 1904, a woman checked into the Antlers Hotel. She met a man that was 10 years younger than her, and they really liked to drink, and one of their favorites was the abstinent. Now, one night, while they were drinking, they got into an argument, and the woman threw a glass decanter at the man, which hit him in the head and left a purple scar that went from his left ear to his chin. The next morning, they checked out at the hotel and they went their separate ways. I know I tripped over my words. What?
No. The abstinence.
The abstinence, yeah. I thought you were laughing because I tripped over my words.
I was laughing at how you said that.
The abstinence.
It's absent.
I'm going to say the abstinence because I like the way the abstinence sounds.
Two totally different things.
You say it your way, I'll say it mine.
I'll say it the right way. You say it yours.
Yeah, I'll say the abstinence.
For the record, she's talking about the alcohol absent.
What is it? Drinking? Anywho. The police eventually learned her identity and the identity of her killer. They received word that a man named Andrew and his girlfriend just got into town. They kidnapped a wealthy businessman, and the man overheard the couple talking about dismembering him, but he was able to escape. He went to the police, and when they arrived, they found Andrew and his girlfriend in a pool of blood, and a note beside him confessing to the killing of the woman at the canyon. And one story about the wraith that isn't, from very long ago was on May 13th, 2011. 2 college students went to the summit, and one of them claimed to have heard someone calling her name. Thinking that her friend was playing a trick on her, she followed the voice when suddenly she was blinded by a beam of light, heard a horrific scream, and was pushed from behind. Fortunately, she was able to catch her footing before falling from the edge of the 500-foot bluff. They say that quite a few people have actually been pushed from the bluff, and that the wraith will lure fishing boats to her, making them crash on the rocks.
Mean wraith.
The next one is Redstone Castle. Now, this castle sits on 75 acres off of Donny Avenue and Iron Mountain Road, just south of Redstone. The story goes that before the castle was built on the property, it was owned by Dr. Isaac Davis, who was a doctor, and he moved his family to Manitou Springs in 1874. Now, after a time, his health started to decline, so he decided to sell his homestead to 2 brothers with the last name as Davis as well, on the condition that if they built anything on the land, they had to relocate the graves of the early trappers, pioneers, soldiers, vagabonds, and that they should be moved to this Crystal Valley Cemetery. Now, when the building was built in 1980, it was meant to be an elite development that was on Iron Mountain called the Manitou Terrace Estates. The men tried to advertise for the lots, but none of them were sold because apparently the prospective buyers found out it was haunted. People believe that when the building was built, the men didn't move all the graves and just built over them. There is a legend that talks about a man that shot a dog that had attacked his wife. The family claimed that it came back howling and scratching on the door, and they moved out the next day. Another legend is that the castle is haunted by Alice Crawford. Alice was an actress, medium, and a spiritualist. In 1905, she began renting the castle with some of her family in the summers, and they would hold seances. Now, it said that she contacted her daughter Emma of the local coffin races. We will get into that in a minute.
Did you say local coffin races?
Yes, we will get into that in a minute. In 1910, she started to rent the place alone to get ready for a part playing Lady Macbeth, and would dress in costume all the time and have people call her by that name as well. Her behavior started getting really strange, and people stopped going to visit her. At one point, one of her friends had to stop her from hurting herself even more after she was shooting at ghosts and had shot herself. And
I'm sorry, did you just say after she was shooting at ghosts and shot herself?
Yep.
How?
How? Maybe a bullet ricocheted?
Okay.
She also set herself and her bedclothes on fire in an attempt to set a ghost on fire. She was taken to a mental hospital, and she was pretty upset about having to leave her home. People believe that she still walks through the halls of the building to this day.
Okay.
And the next one is Red Mountain. Now, this is what we're talking about, the coffin races. Now, Emma Crawford moved to Manitou Springs in 1889, trying to find a cure for her tuberculosis at the famous cold water mineral springs. She was said to have fallen in love with a very nice mountain man. Fortunately, she passed away from her illness in 1891, and before she died, she had asked to be buried on top of Red Mountain. The man she loved honored her last wishes and took her coffin up the 7,200-foot slope with the help of 7 men and buried her near the summit of the mountain. In 1929, after a lot of harsh and very heavy weather, Emma's coffin slid down the mountain and was discovered by some of the local kids. In 1995, the first of the coffin races started in Manitou Springs in honor of Ella. It's said that because her body has been disturbed, she haunts the mountain, and some people have claimed to see her aimlessly wandering the trails that lead to her grave.
Okay.
Now, the next one we're going to talk about is the Imperial Hotel. Cripple Creek emerged in the 1800s when a prospector named Bob Womack found a considerable amount of gold in Poverty Gulch. During the boom of the gold rush, Cripple Creek's number of citizens grew to 25,000. Now, the building had been on the property since 1896 and was built as an extension to the 1893 Collins Hotel. A terrible fire had left a lot of people homeless, so the extension was built with 26 rooms, and they called it the Imperial Hotel. Now, George Long, who was an architect and a painter, immigrated to America from England. He moved to Denver, Colorado, because he had already had family living there. While he was there, he fell in love with his first cousin, Ursula, and married her, even though they knew the risk of the relationship. Now, their family, outraged by the marriage, shunned them, and they moved to Cripple Creek around 1905. The relationship would eventually cause a lot of heartache and loss. George became the owner of the hotel, and it became one of the best hotels in Cripple Creek, and they would own it until the 1930s. They ended up having 2 children, a girl and a boy. Their daughter April had some mental illness due to the genetics, and as she got older, the worse her behavior became. She had a really bad temper, and it had gotten worse when she was a teenager.
Mm-hmm. Teenagers. I got 3 of them.
I don't have any yet.
All girls. I can relate to the behavior getting worse as they become teenagers. I'm not sure that was an exclusively April thing.
That particular part maybe not. A little attitude there.
We have an attitudey Judy jar at my house. That's true. And it's filled with all kinds of tedious tasks that they have to do around the house. So let's say one gets a little bit of an attitude. We say, go pull out the attitudey Judy jar. And they may get something like dust all the fan blades, clean all the baseboards, things that nobody wants to do, even as an adult, let alone as a teenager.
True.
We've only had to pull from that jar one time, and we've had it implemented for the last 3 years.
Nice.
Yeah. So if you don't have an attitude Judy jar in your house, you need one. Works. At least did for my kids. Sort of. Couldn't really use it when we weren't home.
Yeah. Might have to get you a little travel size.
Well, travel attitude Judy bag. There you go.
Yeah.
Get you a little Ziploc. Throw your little chore notes in there.
Yeah.
Should have thought about that one sooner. But it did come with a jar. So you're welcome for anybody who can use that, who that might help. So I'm going to tell you what, if you don't have teenager girls, go in for a treat if you do. Anyway, back to your ghost story. Sorry.
That's funny. Okay, so when she had her bouts of rage, her family would actually lock her in the apartment. Now, this would work well for a while, but April started getting angrier and angrier for being locked away, and a deadly occurrence had taken place.
Oh.
And she couldn't stay with her family after that. After the tragedy, Ursula kept going, and they said that her son probably had to help her since the tragedy. Now, it went through the years being turned into business after business, and it was purchased in 2018 by Full House Resorts Incorporated to make Cripple Creek casinos. They bought businesses around the hotel as well and wanted to expand the Bronco Billy's Casino and Hotel 2. They built a 286-spot parking garage and planned to reopen both hotels. Now, as of now, from what I could see, the Bronco Billy Casino is up and running, but I didn't see the Imperial Casino as yet. Now, there are a couple of the stories of the ghosts that haunt this hotel. One is about a spirit that made its annoyance known after they put the slot machines in the building in 1992, and some that think the spirit is that of George Long.
Did you say it's annoyance known?
He was annoyed and he made it known. Why are you being so mean to me today? I wonder why I don't talk very much.
You meant something completely different from that.
What did you think I meant? Is it a...
I thought all I could see was like casino guest at the slot machine going, God, this ghost is annoying. What the fuck?
No, he was annoyed by the
God,
slot
George.
machine.
If you have anything better to do in your afterlife, it'd be really annoying.
Oh gosh.
Like I just played a whole movie in my head when you said that. I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing at what I envisioned when you said it.
Sure. Again, this is why I don't talk. You see how much I've talked already, and you see how much she's laughed already. This is me in the corner going. Just kidding.
I'm like, pal, why are you making that face? It's hilarious. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, so it is also believed that he was murdered by his daughter April, and there are a couple versions of what happened. One version is that she escaped her confinement, went and got a skillet out of the kitchen, and waited for her father to come down like he always did to the basement. When he did, she hit him in the head and killed him.
Oh.
Yep. The second version is that she was on the second floor with the skillet, and when she hit him, he fell down 2 flights of stairs. So either way, you know, she had something to do with it, a lot of people think.
I wonder what. I'm not victim blaming, but I wonder what he did that was so bad that she would want to do that to him.
He locked her up when she was being aggressive, and she got agitated at it.
I know that. I heard all that, but murder seems a little harsh. I'm just saying. It's a pretty harsh approach to. I'm not saying he should have locked her up, but I'm just saying.
Oh no, I mean it. Yes,
it's a pretty harsh reaction.
Agreed. But
am I alone here? Like I feel like the crickets are chirping behind me. Am I the only one that doesn't think that a slight amount of possible neglect and abuse is equivalent to murder?
No, I'm just saying that also, you know, they also say, you know, she has a little bit of mental issues going on too because of her genetics with her mother and father being so closely related.
Right. So there was a little bit of like an inbred situation going on here. Okay. See, that makes more sense to me why that would be her extreme reaction to, because and again, I'm not saying that it was okay or not okay, but I'm saying certainly not the first kid in history that got locked in a room for being aggressive or throwing a temper tantrum. And them kids didn't kill their parents.
This is true.
Again, I'm not saying that it was okay that they did that. I'm not saying that at all.
Oh, no.
I'm just saying I don't think that it should equal death.
No. Okay, so they also say that George has never left the hotel, and that people have seen a man with a bald spot and a monk-like turf of hair growing from that spot. Okay, this is where I was waiting for you to say something, and you just, okay. I'm like, a monk-like turf of hair growing from that spot, and you're just like,
I mean, I can see it.
I give her an opening, you see.
I'm not going to take it when you give it to me. What fun is that? I need you to not see it coming.
It was going to be fun for me.
I need you to not see it coming. You can't pre-plan my reactions. I'm a Gemini.
I thought that would have got a better, funnier reaction than what I just got. But okay, anywho. They say that he wears a top hat.
Top hat.
Sometimes. And wears really nice clothes, even though you can see right through him. Some say that they have seen him watching them perform when the theater was being used. I don't even know. He has been seen in the kitchen as well. He was said to be particularly fond of room 39 and 42. He will open and shut the doors, turn on the faucets, and when someone tries to turn them off, he will open a drawer right in front of them to stop them. People also think that April is still there, because after the place is closed, at this point in time it was a restaurant, they will hear scratching that's coming from the inside of the rooms on the doors. Mm-hmm. All right, so the next one we're going to talk about is Cripple Creek Jail. In 1901, the jail was built about a block and a half from the courthouse. The jail was needed because of the money that was able to be made in the mining town, and not all people were always honest and kind. The jail was mainly used for people who were waiting for trial that were not violent criminals, but it did house some of the harder criminals until they were taken to another prison. The jail was made to last a pretty long time, being made of brick when most places were made of wood. And the only death that happened in the jail was that of a prisoner who had either jumped or was pushed over a railing. The only thing keeping people from falling was a single small rail with one bar. Some people think that the people who were executed on the grounds or close by are still roaming around in the prison. People have heard footsteps going up and down the staircase, going to the second level of the main cell block. There's also a rumor that a female female jailer is seen at the jail. She has been seen in her old sleeping quarters and has actually communicated with people that she has continued to look after her female prisoners. Some people have also claimed to have heard heavy breathing close to where the death took place. They have seen shadow figures in the last two cells of the first floor cell block, and the doors will open and close by themselves. Now, it's not known where she came from, but the ghost of a little girl can be seen going through the front door, and sometimes she will just stand by the guest at the gift shop and slowly fade away when she is noticed.
Okay.
And that's, my friend, is
Very interesting. Yeah. That was very interesting.
Thank you.
Some fun little quick ones.
Yeah.
Could have wrote a short book.
Yeah, I mean, I did get some of it out of a book called Ghosts, Colorado Springs Haunted America. I'll link it in the show notes. It's pretty good. There's like a lot in there, but
That's good. That's cool. Well, I like it. Fun. Very fun.
I'm glad you had a good time
I had a blast.
at my spin.
Always. There's nobody else in here. Who else is excited to do it at my own expense? What is that? Silly goose. But yeah, as always, thank you guys so much for spending time with us today and hanging out with us with the Ghosts of Colorado. I know for a fact that was nowhere near all of the Ghosts of Colorado. So any of you Coloradians or Coloradoites or whatever you call them, if you have another ghost story that you know of that you would like to tell, or you have your own personal ghost story that you would like to share, or you have one that we didn't cover that you wanted us to cover, please feel free to reach out and communicate and let us know, because we will do it. I promise we will.
Yeah, and if I left anything out that you think that I should have put in there, come at me. Tell me.
Come at me, bro.
In a nice way, though, please.
Please come at me. Yeah, that's all. Other than also, if you like what we're doing and you're enjoying our content, please give us a like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your enemies.
Hey, it's not supposed to be raining.
I didn't know it was supposed to rain today.
It wasn't supposed to.
That was a surprise. But anyway, other than that, thank you guys so much for spending your time with us.
Yep, we appreciate it very, 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 very much.
And that's it for our Ghosts of Colorado. You still have your time to get your requests for any of the true crime cases in Colorado that you would like to hear as well. So get those in, or for any other state beyond that.
Yep.
We are
Render the Darkness.
Ooh.